spoken, the space between the words, the breath between the notes. Can you hear it? The voice of meaning and truth that has been echoed back to you in stillness. When you pause and listen, she is there speaking softly, gently, whispering.
So welcome everyone, welcome to our weekly attunement meditations, and as always I am so honored to be here with all of you. I'm seeing that there's some people jumping on here on our live Zoom. We've got Sonia, we've got Nisha, we've got Kathleen, we've got Rachel. Who else is in the house? Let us know who's here, and just drop in the comments what your intention is for being here today. And thank you, Nisha. I'm sure if I could see you too, that you're looking just as radiant. So we've got a few people. We've got Julia joining live from our Facebook group. And I decided today to do that so that sometimes people miss the Zoom link, but they really want to be a part of our weekly meditations. And so I've decided to do that this week, and to also just allow for more people to join in the energy that we get to tap into as a group. So for throughout the next 40 minutes to an hour, we're really going to be looking at calming the nervous system. And the theme of today's meditation is really to attune our nervous system so that we can operate at our optimal level. And I'm going to be dropping into a little bit about that and why it's so important, and my own journey with that too. So just seeing lots of intentions coming through. We've got Sonia. She's like, I can't join on video today. She's at work. Oh, but that's good. She's tuning in while she's at work. So it's so good to have you here, Sonia. And we've got Kathleen. Intentions for love, being true self, and being whole. Beautiful. So if we've got anyone new joining us today, let me know. I'm happy to share briefly the intention as to why I've created these global meditations each and every week, and what you can expect. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Niamh Cronin, and I am a transformational coach, speaker, and founder of Attune Me, which is a vibrational and transformative modality to support people in attuning to their true potential. And when I say potential, this is really about remembering our true capacity as human beings to feel, to connect, and to really live in harmony with nature and in harmony with ourself and our purpose and our true meaning. And so Attune Me really is quite a large body of work, but really it is the unraveling. It's the remembrance, it's the coming home to self. And that in itself is a journey, and there's no one size fits all. Because of that, it's not something that can be shared and delivered through the context of a linear structure. So while a lot of the personal development industry, a lot of other modalities, teachings, and philosophies are shared in a way through a linear structure, through specific programs and levels and teachings, this is really, this space is really to meet you where you're at. And this is vibrational in the sense that you will receive energetically at the level at which you are open. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about that as we get to know each other. But I think it's important to really listen to your body, listen to what arises, tune yourself to what is wanting to arise in these meditations, and take what you need and leave the rest. I think for the most part, it's about trusting that the wisdom that we're seeking, right, the awareness that we're seeking, it's already here. It's already visceral, deep within our own being, deep within the cells within our body. And so as we gather for these meditations, it's really about us carving out the space for connection. And first and foremost, connection to self. When we do that as a group, we actually amplify that intention, and it allows us to go deeper. So attune me is really that the act of attuning to self. Attune is to come into harmony with. And harmony being a state of being that is natural, that is innate. So it's not necessarily something that we have to create in life. And in fact, if we were seeking to create harmony, then the act of seeking to create harmony is actually creating disharmony in itself. Because what if that there was an aspect of our being, an aspect of our heart, an aspect of our soul that is always in perfect and permanent resonance with nature, with each other? And what in fact we just needed to lean back and to sync, or I like to say attune, like attuning our radio station to a specific frequency. What if it was the journey to unlearning everything who we think we are and actually remembering the truth of who we are? And that very act in itself allows us to attune to our core frequency. Now, there may be times when I use specific words or language that may appear to be or may seem to be quite spiritual in context. Much of my work is really about removing the lens of spirituality and really starting to embrace who we are through the lens of being human, connecting to our humanness. Of course, being human, there is an energetic and a spiritual aspect of our nature. And what I found through working with hundreds of people all around the world, running many different events, trainings, workshops, retreats, and having worked with many different mentors, teachers, mystics, and even spending time with some indigenous tribes, what I learned is that there is something that's been plaguing humanity that robs us from our energy, and that is this constant seeking to answer, I guess, these deeper questions that we hold in our heart. And those questions really are: who are we? What is our true meaning, and why are we here? And those questions, we can continue to perpetuate these cycles of seeking these validations, seeking these answers outside of ourselves, until such a point we go through an awakening and we realize that the ultimate truth and the ultimate answers can truly only be awoken from within. And that journey begins when we start to take 110% responsibility for our journey, for our growth, for our transformation. And in its truest essence, our sovereignty. So how do we do that? And I think sometimes this is a journey that many will spend a whole lifetime cultivating space for contemplation, for deeper self-realization, for deeper self-discovery. For others, it is something that may happen quite quickly once they decide to truly embrace and connect to who they truly are. And so it starts with creating space. And this is what we're doing today. And this is 1 hour every single week where we get to drop in and just create the spaciousness to drop in and connect. The next step is responsibility. Responsibility and choosing to really step into and claim responsibility for everything that is created and everything that we experience in life. And this can be quite a big ask, especially if we're just initially embarking on this journey. But responsibility is really understanding that in order for us to truly expand, and in order for the soul to be nourished, we need to cultivate wisdom. And in order to cultivate wisdom, we need to see every experience that life presents to us as an opportunity for growth. And as Rumi said, he has a quote, and he said that light enters through the wound. And this is really understanding that this deeper journey of awakening self, of coming back to self, is going on that deeper internal journey and embracing our shadows and our light, but really learning from the wounds that we carry, and to allow those wounds to be reconciled, to be healed, and in turn allowing an awareness, right, a wisdom to emerge from those experiences. So whatever we are moving through right now, it's really about being open to what life is wanting to reveal to us. And it's very hard for us to be open and to create space and to be perceptive and to really listen, which is why I shared Attune Your Ear, that spoken word piece, before we began. Unless our nervous system is calm, unless our nervous system is in harmony, is in sync. And so for the most part, each and every day we move through the world because we live in a world that in a way is designed to overstimulate our nervous system. From the moment we wake up in the morning, continually drawing our attention, our awareness into technology, into social media, to the news, on the TV, on the radio. We're constantly being bombarded with so many messages, there's so much stimulus in our environment. And what can happen is, if we're not conscious of it, our nervous system becomes overwhelmed. And for the most part, as human beings, we are operating within a limited bandwidth because our nervous system is programmed to operate within a limited spectrum, because it cannot deal with the excess overwhelm, with the excess information that's coming our way. However, in truth, in our natural state, we are actually wired to have the capacity to really utilize our nervous system to translate information in our environment. And when we were born into the world as a baby, seeing the eyes through the lens of frequency, vibration, sense, touch, and in reality, as a baby, we really experienced our world through our nervous system, until such a time we developed cognitive behaviors and patterns and abilities to speak and to communicate and to put language or words to. And so for those first early years, we really spent our time experiencing sound, vibration, feeling, and for the most part, we actually developed or attuned our nervous system to our mom, because she was our first connection with human life. And so in those early days, in those early years, we actually developed or we wired our nervous system in such a way that it instructed our cells, instructed our body on the amount or the capacity or the bandwidth in which we could deal and cope with life. But here's the thing. As we grow up into adulthood or into adult life, we, for the most part, are still operating through a limited spectrum. And growing up now more than ever, having so much, we're living in an information age with, the invention of many different new technologies, and we're moving into a technological era, which means we're going to be, and not in a fear-based sense, but we are going to be bombarded with more and more information every day. And so it's important that we begin to connect to an intelligence that we may not have necessarily been connecting with. And that is our nervous system, that is our body, that is our intuitive awareness, and being able to connect to that feeling sense, our ability to navigate life, because we get to step into empowerment and we get to choose what we feel, what we take on, what serves us and what doesn't serve us. And we get to step into our self-mastery so that we can navigate this world with ease, with grace, with harmony. And so a few years ago, I actually spent some time with an indigenous tribe called the Anawana. And actually there was a woman from that tribe, and she flew from Brazil to meet with me and a group of other women in Peru. And it was a very special moment because this particular tribe, they didn't have access to the Western world until about 50 years ago. So if you can imagine, they were quite isolated in the Brazilian Amazon jungle, living beautiful, harmonious, peaceful lifestyle in harmony with nature, and quite primitive in one sense to the Western world, but in other ways quite advanced in their awareness, their connection to the truth of who we are as human beings, and their capacity to connect to our true potential and wisdom in the earth. And so 50 years ago, they came into contact with the Western world, and over those years they almost lost their culture because they became very much incorporated with Western life, and the influx of technology, the influx of information, really, in a way, it threatened their history, it threatened their culture. And the Anawana tribe were a very specific tribe who believe that they're here to hold the wisdom of humanity, and that it was passed down throughout generation, this remembrance of truth, and they almost lost that. But what happened was this generation of the tribe actually decided to step in and to do what they could to save what was left of their culture and of their history. And it was actually the women of the tribe that stood up to say that they would continue to pass on their culture and their way of life. And these women, when the last elder of the tribe passed away, these two sisters decided to step up and to lead. And they actually believe that in this very ancient story or folklore of the story of the condor and the eagle, and they actually believe that it is the time where the Western women and the Eastern women, we meet, and that we share our wisdom, and that we rise together in empowerment. And so this is a special moment because this woman, Washi, was actually given permission by her tribe to leave her village and to travel for 2.5 days out of the Amazon to come and fly to Peru to meet with us. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want to touch on, there is a way of life that we've actually become so disconnected with. And these indigenous tribes have kept that alive as a remembrance. And when I met with Washi, learning from spending time with her, she taught me the way of the warrior. And these women, if I was to show you a picture, which I wish I had right now, these women are true warriors, earth warriors. And when you see them, there's an intensity. There is a rawness. There's a bluntness in their energy. And to the Western world, when we come into contact with that, it can be quite abrupt. It can be quite, in a way, we can be fearful of that initially. And I became curious about that, curious as to what that was. And after spending time with her and understanding their ways, I realized that bluntness, that rawness was the truth in her energy. And she was so connected to the truth and so in harmony with nature that to come into the field of that can bring up everything that is not. And so that time I began to unravel and unwind the programs, the stories, the wounds, the trauma, and in a way soothe and calm my nervous system so that I could again be in sync with nature. And so quite often we can be confronted if we are living in a state of disharmony, if we're living in a state of anxiety and stress, coming into connection with nature is the most simple, practical, and the most profound thing that we can do to support us coming back into harmony. And so there's no coincidence why a lot of my work and even my podcast is called Attune to Your True Nature. Because what if there was an intelligence, the same intelligence that allows our heart to beat and our lungs to breathe is the same intelligence that allows every living thing to come alive. And that same intelligence is always there, and it's always in nature. And by taking a few moments each and every day to cultivate this space, we can actually learn how to attune our ear to hear the subtleties. Because natural life is in the minute, subtle, energetic frequencies. It's in the stillness. It's in the space between the notes. And we live in a world where, in a way, we've been programmed to seek out the shiny things. We've been programmed to hear the loud noises. But as we sync and calm our nervous system, and as we start to attune to our truth and attune to nature, we'll start to experience the subtleties. Life will begin to reveal itself to us. Let's put it that way. Because the earth speaks in a language that is so primal, that is so innate. And that language, in a way, is outside of intellect. And that language can only be felt and experienced. And to feel, to ultimately allow ourselves to feel, we must embark on this journey. And that is a journey back into the body. That is a journey back into healing our nervous system, healing. And I'm going to use the word trauma, but trauma can be quite a word that we all carry stories around. And when we use the word trauma, it can be associated with post-traumatic stress disorder, or people returning from the war, or people who have suffered abuse or trauma, early onset trauma in their life. But in reality, we all carry trauma. And trauma is the unprocessed emotional wounding, or the energy that has become stagnant or trapped within the field within our body that we have yet to connect with and reconcile. And to reconcile is to bring back into harmony. So this again even transcends this idea of healing. Because if we are to continually focus on healing, we're going to continually, in a way, it's going to perpetuate this idea that we need to continually heal. Yet to reconcile is to understand that everything that we experience in life is here to allow us to grow. And when we've reached a point in our journey, and when we reached a point in our soul awareness, our soul development, we get to take the wisdom from that experience, we get to cultivate that wisdom, and we get to bring it back into harmony. So then we no longer continually manifest and attract more experiences because we have learned the lesson and the wisdom. Is this resonating with people? Just let me know if it is. I would love to hear what you're receiving from this. And so the deeper with Attune Me, it's being able to step into self-empowerment. It's being able to step into our own self-mastery so that we can lead ourselves through change, so that we can lead ourselves through this awakening journey. And our body really is a composite. Our body, we see our physical body, we see our cells, our organs, our tissues, right? We see what is here. But imagine that every cell, every organ, every tissue has multiple functions, and in a way they are multidimensional in nature. And that means that there is much more to what the body can achieve. There's much more to what the body is aware of. And as we awaken, as we expand our awareness, what we're actually doing is we're expanding our vibratory container so that we can access more, so that we can feel more. And this this can only happen when we begin to reconcile what's stored in the body, reconcile what we're ready to harmonize. And when I said the body is a composite, the body stores every memory of every feeling, thought, sense, or sensation. We also carry our ancestral memories, our ancestral trauma, our ancestral wounds and imprints. We carry their stories. We carry our soul remembrances, our soul lineage, our soul wounds, traumas. And in a way, you could see that the body is an intersection point where all of these awarenesses are held. And for the most part, as human beings, we are numb, we're disconnected from our bodies. We are operating in a world constantly projecting our mind into a reality that is off kilter and is out of touch with who we are. Yet, if we draw awareness back into the body, it's confronting because initially we have to do the work. We have to do the work to be able to feel again. We have to be able to move through the distortion that is arising in our body and the pain, the sadness, the trauma. And this isn't, and I'm going to share this. This does not take away from, because in a lot of let me rephrase that. So in a lot of the spiritual new age teachings and in even, you know, a lot of other healing modalities, there is this idea that if you do this one course, if you attend this one seminar or read this book or follow this 5-step process, then you are healed, then you are enlightened, then you have made it. And I say that in the most loving way because a lot of those teachings served us up until this point. It's got us to where we are right now in this moment. However, this journey of awakening is a very individual one. And it is one that will continually ask us to move deeper, that will continually ask us to embrace what's arising. It's not, there is no destination. And the focus is just allowing for more to be revealed, and that will happen as we embrace what needs to be felt and experienced. So we've got Rachel saying, I wholeheartedly agree. Sanya, we are infinite spiritual beings having a human experience, makes total sense and echoes of past lives. Yes. And so if we are aware that the body is a composite and it contains all of this information, what happens in our life is we will continue to attract situations, people, experiences in our life that probe and pull out what we're holding in our body. And by I mean probing is if you see a wound, you know, if someone like was to probe you or create a wound in your body, what happens is it opens. It creates an opening and our insides come out. And it's an opportunity that when we're in that process, when we are allowing that wound to be felt and we're in that pain, that quite often can be misconstrued or misinterpreted or misunderstood when a person is in that process, and we can be perceived to be broken. We can be perceived to, or in a way, we can lead ourselves to believe that we're moving backwards. We're becoming unconscious. We are lowering our vibration. I want you to move all of these spiritual ideologies and in a way bypassing and judgments. I want you to move them all to one side and see that when we are embracing a wound and we're in the process of allowing that to unfold, what we're allowing for is those wounds to be reconciled, those wounds to be felt. And some of you, including myself, because we all are, maybe in that process right now. And when you're in that process, it can be really easy to forget that you've actually chosen to embrace, that you've actually chosen to go on this journey, and that you've forgotten that you're in the midst of this healing process. But once we become conscious of that, and we continually attune and harmonize our nervous system and really tune in and listen, we will always be guided. And when we will reach that other side, and when we allow and extract the wisdom and knowledge, that wound will heal, and what will maintain in our body and what will maintain in the frequency of what we hold in our field is the wisdom. And that is why there are certain people that you meet and they walk into a room, and just in their presence alone, you're activated, you're ignited, because they hold the wisdom in the field of their energy, because they hold the depth within their field of the work that they have done. So if you're a coach, you're a speaker, a mentor, you're someone that is here to facilitate change, then we actually have the responsibility to go even deeper and to continually allow ourselves to evolve, so that we can hold the vibratory container, we can hold the field of energy in our being that allows for true transformation and growth to be felt. And even to some point where there are no words to be spoken, because just by your presence alone becomes an activation, it becomes a remembrance. And just like that warrior woman, Washi, when she stood in my presence, she was a visceral remembrance for me. And I want you to allow me to be that for you today. Allow me to be that point of reference, yet not dishonoring what you hold, what you know. Because for me, I've been in the personal development industry for many years. I've been the coach, I've been the speaker who spoke on stages, leading people through transformation and change and leadership programs. And what I found is I actually transcended and moved away from many of these ways of teaching, because I remembered and understood that true transformation can only happen when we honor the wisdom in each other and allow that to be called forth. So in these meditations and in my events and in this work, for me, this is about calling you forward into your empowerment, calling you forward into your self-mastery, calling you forward into your leadership. And the way of the warrior in this initiation that this woman Washi guided me through is understanding that the true warrior is one that can stand in the presence, in the stillness, and in the strength of who they are, that can face anything that is coming at you, no matter what the stress is or what is happening in the out world, that we can hold our center, we can hold our peace, we can hold our harmony. And this is not to mistake being a warrior to fight, to react to our external world, because there is, particularly as we awaken, as we find out about what's happening in the world, we can feel the desire to fight the system, right? And we can feel the desire to react. But the true and the wise warrior is someone who has cultivated the knowledge, the wisdom, and the mastery to hold their poise, to hold their presence, to hold their stillness in the storm, to be in the chaos but not of the chaos, right? To be in the world but not of the world. And so much of this work is about being here. And imagining, almost like a lot of the very ancient sages, and even the real truth of much of the esoteric martial arts was really initiations into being able to harness your true power, harness your true balance, your true poise, and to really remember the truth of being able to ebb and flow, right? To access our yin and our yang, to be able to embrace all of life. Now, the intention for this, actually, I just want to check the time with everyone, just if someone can let me know what time it is in the chat box. But my intention for today was to create, or to journey with you through a meditation. And if we have time to do that, then we will do. But for some reason, this message was to be shared, and was to be shared with all of you that are joining. And I feel that there is a really strong message or a remembrance for every one of you that are here, and that, including myself, this message needs to be heard today. Okay, so we've got 20 more minutes. That's okay. So we do have time. Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Melissa. So before we move any further, I'm going to invite you to share in the comments what is arising in you. What have you noticed? There's another thing that happens when I hold these attunements is we don't necessarily always have to be in a meditation to attune and to harmonize and to sync our nervous systems. Just even by being in this space and being within the frequency of what I'm sharing, it can actually in itself is an attunement. It's a remembrance. So many of you, even from being on this call for the last 30 minutes or so, may have a direct visceral experience of being calm, of being peaceful, of being connected to self. And there may have been things that have arisen in you, feelings, emotions, questions. So I'm actually going to invite you to pop that in the comments and just utilize this as an opportunity to see what's arising in the group today, what's being felt, what's being experienced, what's being remembered. What we will find is, as a group, we quite often feel and connect and sense similar things. Why? Because we are all connected by an energy, and just even by being here today, we've come here all with the intention of connecting more to our true selves. So Melissa's arising in me is connection and depth of knowing. Beautiful. So we've got Katie joining. Hi Katie, welcome. So Nisha has a feeling of knowing and calm and excitement. Amazing. So have you ever had a moment where life seems to be a little bit much? It seems to be a little bit overwhelming, and you take yourself to a space in nature. You sit by the ocean, or you put your feet in the earth, you sit under a tree, and just without even doing anything else, you just seem to relax. You just seem to really allow yourself to be in the present moment. And even by sitting by the ocean and watching the water, watching the waves, there is something washes over you, a calmness, a serenity, a peace. And that is who we are. That feeling when we're in those moments, that is who we are and who we have come here to be. That is our being, our human being. But in fact, quite often we go around being human doings. And this space is about creating more spaciousness to allow for more beingness to emerge. And that can only happen when we draw our awareness here and now into the body and into the present moment. And so maybe this is an opportunity to now enter into this meditation. And I feel like this meditation is really going to be something that you get to tune into anytime you feel overwhelmed, anytime you feel out of harmony, anytime you just need that little remembrance to sink and come back to the breath, come back to this moment, come back to the body. Sonia, I've been writing as you've been speaking, and seeing my page, what is written is so much more than what was said, connecting to inner wisdom and allowing it to flow out unconsciously. Wow. I would love to hear what's been flowing through you, Sonia. Kathleen, loving this reminder to be calm and alert. And also, if you are receiving from these meditations. And if you're really, connecting to yourself more, you're really allowing yourself to really receive from this container, then I would love for you to share your experience. If you feel called, share your experience with other people. Invite them to join this space. And like I said, this, as you know, this space is free. This is just as much for me as it is for everyone that joins, because there's something, as even Sonia put to it, there's something that unlocks when we meet in this way. So I'm going to invite you all now to close your eyes. And if you're at work, then I appreciate closing your eyes may not be very practical right now, but just allowing yourself to be present as I guide you through this really short, simple, but really powerful meditation. So placing your 2 feet flat on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, just uncrossing your legs. And just for a moment, I want you to press your large toes into the ground. You may want to take off your shoes and be more comfortable. And interesting, as we enter into this meditation, the phone rings. Use this as an opportunity now to continue with this meditation and to continually drawing your awareness into yourself, no longer reacting to the stimulus in your environment. This is how you normally react to the noise, to the information that is coming your way. And sometimes the most powerful presence and exercises we can do is to do these exercises, these meditations, these practices in the midst of the chaos, because that is when it is truly tested. So pressing both large toes into the ground, and I want you now to continue to press all toes into the ground, pressing your heels now into the ground, and really firmly anchoring both feet on the ground and feeling grounded as you connect and draw your awareness into your feet. If you're sitting on a chair, feeling both cheeks, both legs firmly planted on the chair. Feeling now the gravity of your body. Feeling the awareness of your environment. The awareness of the room or the space that you are currently sitting in. Can you now allow yourself to be both aware of your body, your presence, your internal world, and simultaneously be aware of your external world, your external environment? Taking deep breaths now, drawing your awareness to your chest, to that space in the middle of your breastbone, and breathing into this, allowing your awareness, your sight, your vision to be present now here in your chest, in your heart. And can you allow now your awareness to be turned inward into your body, yet at the same time being aware of the sounds that surround you? And we're going to do a very simple yet powerful breathing exercise. And this breathing exercise instructs our parasympathetic nervous system to switch on. And that is allowing for your relaxation, your body to soothe, to calm, to allow it to move out of reaction, fight or flight, response, to one of peace, of calm, of safety. So in a moment, I'm going to guide you through a process. And to start with, I'm going to share with you what that process is. We're going to do this breath sequence 3 times, and 3 times only. You're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose only. On the in-breath, you are going to breathe in for 4 seconds. You're going to hold for 6 seconds. And then you're going to breathe out through the nose for 8 seconds. We're going to repeat that 3 times. As you do, you're just simply going to focus on your breathing and listening to my words. So when you're ready, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, breathing out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, breathing in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, breathing out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, breathing in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, breathing out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just allowing your breath to resume its normal rhythm. And just feeling, observing, and noticing how your body feels, how your body responds now to that breathing exercise. And knowing at any point throughout the day when you feel overwhelm, stress, anxiety, or even simply the desire to call yourself into presence, you can use this breathing exercise to ground, to center, to connect, but to instruct and soothe and calm your nervous system so that you can create safety. Because ultimately, when we are in a state of reaction, the underlying trigger is this feeling of not being safe. So pressing your toes into the ground again, pressing your heels into the ground again, wiggling your fingers, moving your arms, and when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and being here even more present, more calm, more grounded, more connected. And so thank you to everyone who has joined. And I hope that you received exactly what you needed from this meditation. And really, this was more of a talk, a sharing, an experience for all of us today to really learn a little bit more about our body, our intelligence, to learn more about Attune Me, to learn more about why I'm doing this work. If you really resonate and really feel called to explore this work even further, then I would love to have a conversation with you, because this work is really for people who are ready to embark on that journey. And I offer one-on-one attunement. They're really a diagnostic session to really detect and understand what's happening in your body, what you're processing, what you're healing, what you're reconciling, the wounds, the imprints, even the traumas that you're carrying and that you're here to work on. And if you feel called to that, then please reach out and send me a private message, and I'll let you know how and when we can work together. And if anyone feels called to experience an attunement artwork, which is similar but different, that is creating a unique attunement and a contemplation piece that supports you in attuning to your true self. And that also comes with an attunement diagnostic reading, which is a reading to tune into, again, what you are holding in the field, the composite field of your body, and connecting to your true purpose, your true meaning, and what you've come here to cultivate in this lifetime as a human being. So if anyone feels called to anything, please send me a private message. You can email me at info@niamhcronin.com. Or you can go to niamhyvonnecronin.com, which is my new website. I'm super excited to share that with all of you. So that's niamhyvonnecronin.com. I've got so much coming up, and if you want to know more specifically about Attune Me, you can go to attuneme.org, where you can find out more about everything. So we will be tuning in again next week to have another global meditation. And please invite people that you feel that will resonate, that will receive a lot from this container. And I would love to connect more with you all really soon. So thank you, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.